Welcome to another Triathlon podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another Triathlon podcast. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome back, triathlon enthusiasts, to another episode of another Triathlon podcast brought to you by Mana Endurance. I'm your host, Jenna Sarah, and as always, thrilled to be joined by my co-hosts, Fede and Josh. Strap in, because we have definitely got another jam-packed episode for you today. We are absolutely buzzing over the recent 70.3 Ironman World Championships. It was an interesting show, from unexpected winners to German domination, and yes, even some surprising underperformances from the favorites. We will dive into all of it. But that's not all. We'll also have the lowdown on the SuperLeague race in London, including some noticeable absences. Some of the big names we were expecting to see there were not there, and it definitely shifted how the team's races played out. But as always, we'll bring you our WTF Moment of the week, the social media post, and we'll do some question and answers. So let's jump in. Let's get after it. How are you guys doing? Fede, what's up with you?
Hey guys, hey Jenna, hey Josh, good to see you guys. I was just talking with you, Jenna, off the air, that I was battling a nasty cold, and I was, off my feet last week, so happy to be back training, slowly getting into the regime of training every day. So, and now in a bit of a panic mode because I have a race in 3 weeks, so it's going to be a bit of panic training going on in the next few weeks so that I can make sure that I'm there mentally and physically to perform in a couple of weeks. But yeah, what about you guys?
Yeah, go ahead, Josh. How are things going with you?
Oh, I've been doing a lot of traveling. So naturally, like Fede, also got some type of a bug, sore throat, whatever. Was able to thankfully feel okay enough to continue with whatever workouts I was able to do on vacation. And we had a good gym. Actually, had 2 gyms at the hotel we were staying at. So I got some good workouts in on the elliptical and started running again. All of a sudden, my legs started feeling better. So I got a 7-mile run in and a 12-mile run in this week. And just before we got on the podcast, I got another 5 miles in and 30 minutes on the rower. So, and then a lot of swimming while in Cabo, obviously, naturally. So it was actually a really good week. And marathon is less than 13 days out. So we're at it again. And it's feeling good. So I'm actually going to be tapering, which is kind of cool to think about at this point too.
You know, the body's an incredible thing. A couple weeks ago, you didn't think you're going to be doing the marathon at all. And now all of a sudden you're ready to go. Things are feeling good. No pain or issues afterwards. Just back into the training.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's, I brought the red light therapy with me and I iced, and those 2 things combined with making sure I was being smart with the elliptical work and all of that. I think jumping some of that Mexican salt water too probably helped. A lot of vitamin D.
Finding those healing ways. No, it sounds like you really got after that recovery. And now, Fede, with having to, being sick, it sounds like you took a lot of downtime in there. Was that, as an endurance athlete, was that easy or hard to take those days off?
You know what? I'm usually very good at taking days off whenever coach prescribes days off or whenever I don't feel quite right. However, when I have a race coming up, there's always the training in the back of my head that I need to be doing something. But I keep repeating to myself that, it's for the best, and I'm only gonna do more harm if I train while being sick. So I keep telling myself, this is for the best, this is for the best. You're going to bounce back. And as long as you keep taking care of yourself, you're going to be training back again. So, and I know the fitness is going to be there. It's just mentally the part that us endurance athletes are a bit hard on ourselves whenever we feel a bit sick or have to take some time off. But yeah, I was just being a bit dramatic, maybe for a couple of days.
No, it's so important to take that downtime. And I kind of mentioned before, I remember when I was in the weight loss days where it seemed like no matter what, I could not keep the weight off or get myself to work out or exercise because just how I looked was not enough motivation to keep at it. I would take any excuse to take a rest day and not go to the gym. But when that motivation changes and it becomes something intrinsic, something you care about and seeing what your body is capable of, it's a whole different ballgame. You're like, wait, I have to take a day off. I don't want to take a day off. What, a whole week off training because I'm sick? What? Got to be crazy. No. But it's so good that you're listening to your body so that you can come back stronger and get the workouts in now.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm ready to train. Like I'm actually happy that I listen to myself because I'm very excited to train again and not looking at that something I need to do, but something I want to do. So that's a very good mindset to be in for me right now.
Oh yeah, there's something about that mental freshness. Like when you're craving the sessions, like you can do a session or you can really get after it if you're feeling mentally engaged and really going for it. And there's such a massive difference in between the two.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Mindset is everything.
And I think the other piece about this that Fede mentioned too is the fact of his communication with his coach and getting feedback there and making adjustments. And I did that on the opposite end. Coming out of not feeling good, we had made adjustments to my schedule going forth and maybe added some more elliptical or cross-training options to get me to the line, knowing that I was feeling better, but not yet the run volume as we're getting into taper time anyways. But I messaged my coach this morning and said, look, I've been feeling real good the last couple of days. And I didn't have a run on my schedule until like Wednesday this week. And I was like, look, do you mind if I go do a run today? And I'm not going to make it to the pool, so I can do a row and a run. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. And let's do 45 easy, but get out and run. Got outside and ran. And that was a quick adjustment. And now based off how I feel coming out of this, he might tweak some other stuff. So we'll see. I think that's another huge factor that we talk about a lot with some of the questions we get and things. But that communication and the extra benefit of a coach came in handy today.
Oh, that's huge. You have a coach. You have someone in your corner. You have that outside perspective. Take advantage of it because that's exactly what they're there for. They want you to succeed and they have the skill set and knowledge to adjust the program for you. I definitely ran into a couple of situations where an athlete has like a catastrophic injury where they have to stop training for a while. And it's like, well, did this just come on suddenly? It's like, oh, the last month my foot has hurt, but I just didn't say anything. It's like, what? We could have avoided it. Like, that's exactly what I'm here for. Yeah, it's definitely good to have that communication and that back and forth because we need that outside perspective sometimes. I know we're all driven and motivated and have big goals, but sometimes you need someone else to tell you, okay, chill, let's adjust and go from there.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Funny. On the opposite side this weekend, I had a weekend of workouts that kind of scared me. And I'm kind of looking at my coach like, are you serious? Yeah. And as I was reminded constantly on the Ironman 70.3 broadcast, Kona is 7 weeks away. I'm pretty sure they said that about 100 times during the broadcast. And I was like, oh, yep, I guess it is. No, ended up having a big weekend of training. And training has been a little up and down the last couple of weeks with some other stuff with some acting jobs and all that. But I definitely, like you, Fede, I went in so mentally and physically fresh that I just had a killer weekend of training. It was just like the paces seemed a little crazy. The bike workout seemed a little crazy. Got in there, but the head, the body were all feeling good. And it was definitely a confidence boosting weekend to see it. Okay. Fresh legs, things feel awesome. So yeah, good little confidence boost as we're 7 weeks away from Kona, which before this weekend.
That's so good to hear that you're fresh and in a good mental space too. Because I mean, the next couple of weeks are going to be quite tough for you. So that's that's good. That's good that you're in the right mental space and physically able to deliver the workouts.
Yeah, definitely in the thick of it now. It's funny. It's one of those things where I can't look at my Training Peaks kind of fitness score right now. It's definitely a lot lower than it's ever been kind of leading into a race. But then, you know, you have workouts like that where it's like, okay, may not have the fatigue in the legs, but there's still some fitness there. So we'll go hard for the next few weeks and see what I can do in Kona. So I'm looking forward to it now after that weekend.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into things here. Let's start off with some questions from our audience. Let me pull them up here. Okay, here's one that I actually get quite a bit from athletes. Is the age-old question, one piece or two piece tri-suit? Which way do you go? So obviously we're presented by Mana Endurance, which also has a wicked line of tri-suits, which we all wear and race in. So I'm definitely a fan of the one piece tri-suits just because I am obsessively worried about the aero gains and the benefits there. But two piece are always a good option. Let's hear your guys' thoughts on which one you think looks like they're newer to triathlon doing their first Ironman. Should they go for the one piece or the two piece on race day? What do you think, Betty?
Great question. Like you said, I'm a bit too much into aerodynamics and marginal gains and optimizing everything, really. So whenever I can squeeze a bit more watts here and there, I'm going to take it. However, if it's your first race or you're just getting into triathlon, or maybe it's your first full distance race, I would encourage you to test a bunch on your long rides and long runs, see which feel more comfortable to you. Maybe even rehearse, this is going to sound a bit weird, but maybe even rehearse your porta potty stops and seeing how quick you can unzip everything and get everything down to do your thing. And then just choose that. I think for your first long distance event, you might be able to, I mean, it's good to sacrifice a bit of aerodynamics over comfort. So that would be my take on that.
Man, we saw an absolute masterclass in the porta potty stop by Taylor Knibb at the 70.3 World Champs, which we'll talk about a little bit later there. But she had that dialed. It was like 25 seconds in, out, done, still in the lead. So that I have never considered that, but that's not a bad idea. Seeing with that, especially once you get like sweaty and wet and stuff, it gets a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
How about you, Josh? Do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, it is a great question. I've been lucky to have some pretty decent one piece tri suits that I've raced in. So I have ridden in two piece, but for me, I think it's a one piece all the way. And if a bathroom stop happens to happen, I mean, you deal with it and you struggle to get it off as much as possible. I've had it happen pre-race and coming out of T2, I think I've had to do it, and it's manageable. So it's especially the nice aerodynamic one piece tri suits, they're on pretty tight. So yeah. Like Jenna said, they're not easy to get off. But I think for what you get out of a longer ride, a 56 mile or 112 mile bike ride, it's well worth that extra time it might take to take a bathroom break.
Absolutely. And it might be a case of you don't need to undo it at all. You know, I find for myself, I used to race in two pieces, and my biggest problem was they would start riding up in the back, and I'm a pasty redhead. So I would get this like burn tattoo across like weeks afterwards. So just don't notice it. And then obviously not a lot of sunscreen there. So I think at the end of the day, it's whatever's most comfortable, what makes you feel confident, and it may sound funny, but what you think looks good on you and feel looks good on you too, because there is something to be said for something that makes you feel strong and confident when you put it on. So it's not always a case of performance. But if you are looking for performance gains, then I think we all agree the one piece will go a lot faster, which is why I'm surprised to see a lot of the pro female athletes still racing in the bathing suit style tri-suits, because skin is a lot slower than a lot of these materials that are on the tri-suits these days. So I'd think like, unless you're doing short course for 70.3 and longer, it just, in my mind, makes more sense to have more the 2-piece with the full coverage just for those aero benefits, because we're talking percentage points that could matter at the end of the day. Like the female racing is getting so competitive that it makes a difference.
Especially in Paris. I mean, they definitely, I mean, but shorter Olympic distance. So that you can kind of understand with the swimsuits. But yeah, to see it in the 70.3 and up, it's strange because there is a big aero advantage to the sleeves and everything you want to add on there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess whatever makes you comfortable at the end of the day, and especially if it's going to be super crazy hot conditions, then you got to go what works for you. But we definitely recommend you check out the Mana Endurance tri-suits because they are absolutely wicked. Okay, we've got our next question here. Why am I hitting a plateau? My run times don't seem to change whatsoever. I keep being around 4 hours and 15 minutes regardless of how hard I bike. It's always right around 4:15. I've been training consistently, but haven't seen any improvements. So what can I do to break through this? From John. So run in an Ironman is almost an art form to get right. There's a lot of things that have to go right for you to have a solid run time. But the biggest things that I see with athletes trying to improve the run is they're lacking a couple of things. Is one, bike strength. That's the number one in there. You have to be strong on the bike to be able to run well afterwards. You could be, you could put the best marathon runner in the world on an Ironman race course and put them on a bike for a first time. They're going to be hobbling to the finish line in the marathon. So the bike strength and pacing are the two biggest things to actually work on fitness wise to make sure that you can run well afterwards. The other thing that I see a lot of times is to help improve those run times is adding a little bit more run frequency. So again, you're just teaching your body to move better, and that translates on race day even when you're broken down. A lot of athletes are doing maybe 2 runs a week in there, which can work if you are focusing on that bike strength. But if you really want to start to improve your run through an Ironman, I find a little bit more run frequency helps a lot of athletes. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, like even 15, 20-minute brick runs that are easy off the bike will, again, just kind of ingrain that feeling of running on fatigued legs. And I find that's helped a lot of athletes improve those run times over time with that consistency. And then the biggest thing is just if you're looking to be competitive on the run in an Ironman, is the distance has to be almost a non-factor. So if you're struggling to get an 18-mile run in or struggling to get to 20 miles, you're not going to be racing on the run in an Ironman. You have to have a really effective Ironman run and feel like be able to push those paces a lot more. Ideally, you get to the point where 18 or 20 miles is just mentally, physically not a big deal in zone 2. Like once you can kind of get to that place where the distance is just not scary, feels fine, you can recover from it, that's when you can really start to push the speed and see how fast you can go in there. But Fede, do you have some thoughts on how to improve that run in an Ironman and break away from that plateau?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on very solid points, and all of those are very, very true. I often see with athletes the mistake they tend to do is they get their confidence from like track workouts, let's say like 1K repeats, 1 mile repeats. And while doing that type of speed work is all good and well, that's not very specific for long distance racing. So what I tend to do with my athletes is go from the general part of training to the more specific part when racing is coming up. So a lot of running off the bike, a lot of race pace intensity, like you said, making sure they are strong on the bike, because running off the bike is a completely different sport and muscles act differently when we run off the bike. So I often load my athletes with quite a bit of bike race pace intensity, and then have them run a long run the next day with a few efforts at the end of the run to stimulate those muscle adaptations and fatigue adaptations, because that's the name of the game in long distance racing. I mean, it's not who's the quickest, it's about who slows down the least. So making sure they are able to hold the pace while they're tired. And like you said, yes, respecting the distance, but making sure it's not a limiting factor when it comes to performing off the bike. That doesn't mean they need to run a marathon each week, but
Yeah.
it just means that we need to load the body gradually until they're comfortable, making sure that they can run a half marathon on Tuesday and they're perfectly fine to do a 2 hour long run on a Friday if they need to. So just making sure the progression is right and that the intensities and the loading and everything is also in the right place.
Yeah, perfectly said. That's some really, really great advice in there. How about you, Josh? Any thoughts?
I mean, I think one thing that I've learned over time too is I think both of you have hit it spot on with the adjustments that you need to make and getting to a certain confidence level and how you want to approach the run itself. And it sounds like we've got somebody who's trying to get under 4 hours, and a lot of that advancement and that plateauing can be broken with speed work. And I've done a lot of track work, more so than I had done early on in my triathlon life, and my run has come the furthest, and I probably had the most room for improvement. But I think once I started incorporating speed work at the track as opposed to just distance in miles and minutes, along with the run strength training, and a lot of one-legged deadlifts and things like that are really going to help improve balance and ankles and hamstrings and everything you use in your run, that you're going to need 26 miles and 12 hours into your day. So those things come in huge, and I think they're a big benefit. So if you haven't been on with those pieces of your workouts, make sure you keep them involved as well.
Yeah, that strength training is so important. Like Fede said, it's not about who goes the fastest in there. It's who slows down the least. And a lot of that strength training can help just strengthen a lot of those auxiliary muscles that are helping propel you forward when your form gets incredibly sloppy, as it will at some point from the fatigue. So being able to hold it together makes a big difference. And actually, one session I forgot to mention that has been a game changer for me is doing a long run with a fast finish. I just had a Instagram memory from when I won the long distance world championships, and it was crazy hot day out there, and I was in like 4th place with 10K to go. And as a matter, if I could like just speed up a little bit, I could get that win in the last, you've been out there for hours at this point. You're like, okay, come on. But I had done so many fast finish long runs. Like my coach had it dialed into my head to this day, my long runs all end nearly with a tempo effort because it's just so hardwired. But it's not only the physical benefits that you get from it, it's just so many times he'd give me paces at the end of a long run where I'm like, there's no way. Like I feel like I'm breaking down. I can barely run at this point. You want me to do 5K at a tempo effort. It's like it's not going to happen. But then you try it and you kind of get out of that slump of just feeling broken down and tired and complacent. And you realize, okay, I do have more in the tank. I can go a little bit faster. And sometimes I think a lot of that is just a mental block because you're carb depleted, you're tired, you're dehydrated. But if you prove that to yourself over and over again in training that, okay, you do have a little bit more, it may not be a matter of fitness at all. It may just be a mental block that you're kind of going through where it's like, okay, let's empty it all at this point and see what's left. So those are good sessions to, one, get the learn how to run on that kind of fatigue, but two, just mentally have it in the bank knowing that, okay, I can pick it up here. I'm not just going to slog it into the finish line. But yeah. Anyways, let's jump on. We've got a couple interesting. I had a hard time picking the what the F moment of the week here.
Oh God.
There was a few of them, but we will dive into the results in a bit here. But I have to say the what the F moment of the week this week is the Lionel Sanders disqualification at 70.3 Worlds. Now, if you haven't heard, Lionel Sanders, he had an incredible swim for him. He was right in the mix, 2 minutes down, and was making up time, or like getting on the bike and getting it done. But then he got a disqualification for allegedly passing the center line. Now, that is a rule that we all know. You can't pass the center line, can't cross the painted line. But in this case, he was told by the official the center line was imaginary. And there was no actual painted center line on a road that looks like it could be just like a one-way small European road, which is everywhere there. So to be disqualified based on an imaginary line that doesn't exist on closed roads during a world championship, when just a few minutes earlier there's video of Christian Blumenfeld crossing an actual center line for a couple minutes with no repercussions, is absolutely insane. Like, apparently he was going down the finish line yelling at Andrew Messick, "I'm never doing Ironman again." You can't say I blame him after this, but what do you guys think? How do you think Ironman made the right call?
I don't know what it was with that course, because I mean, even in the women's race, it was like that that first penalty tent. The camera crew goes by and it's like, whoa! I've never seen so many people in a penalty tent before. And it's like, this is the professional race; it's not an age group. And it was just, man, I felt for Lionel, and it was kind of interesting because I watched the whole race on the plane flying from San Fran to Boston the other night, and he got to the end because he kept going. He was like, "Screw this! I'm still running. I'm gonna finish the race." And he gets to the end, and he and Jackson are just like high-fiving everyone, and neither one of them had the race they wanted to do. But I was like, but neither one of them is trying to win. And like, I was like, what's going on here? Why isn't he trying to pass him? I mean, each spot there probably is worth a couple $100 at that point. But now we know why. Lionel was already knew he had been DQ'd. But he still went out and raced. And that, and then to see the Christian footage, but they were so bunched together, and you had packs of 5 or 6, 7 at the front for the until Canute dropped, and then that chase pack was like 20 something. So if you were going to pass somebody, you had to pass 20 people.
Yeah.
And unless there was a little bit of a gap, sometimes there was enough of a gap they could slot in. But I mean, that is some match burning and like you're burning. I think somebody said you're burning a whole box to make some passes.
100%.
So to not be able to cross an imaginary line while passing 10 people, I mean, come on.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a rule that needs to be revisited too. It's there's some, so the Ironman head ref, Jimmy Riccatello there, he has some different ideas about the dynamics of drafting and some of the Ironman rules there. He believes there's no draft advantage at 12 meters, which science.
I mean, yeah, come on.
So they won't change the drafting distance, which 12 meters is way too close in the professional, like peloton, well, not peloton, but it looks like a peloton with the speeds they're going in there. But that no slotting in rule, I think, is not a good thing for the sport, because even if you kind of do the rule as they have it now, as soon as your front tire is ahead of the person that you're passing, it's their job to drop back. That still works if you have that slotting in, right? So you can just go close enough, they drop back and go in there, because it changes up the race dynamics in a significant way, not being able to kind of slot in through some of those packs. Like you said, 20 people, you're probably holding 400 watts for ridiculous amount of time. You're going to screw your race just trying to pass a few people, but being stuck behind slower athletes like that doesn't benefit anyone. You're not getting, like, it just, I think it's crazy. I think some of the rules really need to be revisited by fresh eyes, because there are some different thoughts there. But how about you, Fede? What are your thoughts on this?
Oh God, I have quite multiple thoughts actually. But first off, like you said, some rules need to be revisited. For example, the 12-meter draft zone. I think it needs to be at least 20, because it keeps proving race after race after race that 12 meters is not enough space for professional racing. Maybe for age group racing, maybe, and that's with a big question mark, because the age groups who are at the top of the spear in age group racing, 12 meters is also a very small gap, and nothing happens in 12 meters. Like Josh said, if you want to make a pass, you better be able that you can hold 600 plus watts for like 5 minutes, and then settle back into your Ironman pace which, good luck. I think only Magnus is going to be able to do that, or like Joe Skipper. But, it's just very weird. And it seemed to me as a very, I don't know, bullyish type of behavior from Ironman. I saw a couple of posts from professional athletes. I mean, we don't see Jan getting into this type of chats, but he posted something about the rule. Uh, he said, and I think I have the post here. He wrote, "What a joke! Imagine a pro cyclist getting a penalty for using all of the road. It's so infuriating to see, for one, because it's randomly applied, as for for athletes, and Ironman refuses to recognize that professionals are more than capable of using the entire road, unlikely many of their motos." So shots were fired, and I think a lot of athletes were angry about this. Uh, and yeah, I think Lionel screaming at Andrew Messick, it's just frustration and anger, and just because putting myself in Lionel's shoes, I think he felt like he was being targeted, or as if they were wanting to prove a point, as that no one is bigger than us or something. Uh, but yeah, I think well, one, with their broadcast and their commentating in the live stream, that needs to change as well, because it's super boring to hear about people's running form and how Christian Blumenfeld doesn't look as your average pro triathlete, and how the bike, oh God, and how the bike position on somebody's bike is, and the Morton moves and all of this. And oh man, I think Ironman needs to change, or else they're digging their own grave.
Well, they keep showing time and time again they don't care about the professionals, which, personally, the professionals inspired me a lot. I found out what Ironman was and wanted to do Kona because I read Chris McCormick's book and stuff. And just seeing those professionals, being able to compare yourself to them, is something that's pretty cool, that we get the chance to be on the same race course as them. And I think they add a ton to the sport. Ask any sponsor. They pay these people a lot of money to wear their stuff, show off their kit. And it's unfortunate that it seems almost adversarial between Ironman and the athletes, and Ironman and every other race organization out there. It doesn't benefit anyone, right? If they're just going to be the big bully in there in a way, which is really, really unfortunate, because they are still the big name within the sport. They are what people think of when they think of the pinnacle. But like you said, it's going to start to change. Like, PTO is coming in, doing some big moves here. Well, I don't love the PTO distance with the longer span. I'm sure Lionel feels the same. It's just, I think Ironman's either going to have to step it up or start to become more and more irrelevant, because the broadcast is brutal. I was just watching the Vuelta, and it's like you can watch a 5-hour bike race and be riveted the whole time.
And be entertained, yes.
There's really not. But you have professional commentators who know how to keep that energy up, who have the information to keep it interesting, where unfortunately with Ironman, they take a lot of ex-pro athletes who don't have that media background, who maybe don't know how to keep the energy up in there, or to really commentate these races in a way that is very exciting or entertaining. Like, people are experts at commentating because it's a skill they practice for their career. You can't just drop someone new and it'll be fine. It's not the same level of energy or expertise there.
No, absolutely. And also, I think it's part of the commentating team that they are. I saw quite a bit of comments in social media posts about the male winner, the 22-year-old German, and who is this guy? Where is he coming from, and this and that. And also the commentating was like, well, he's coming out of nowhere, like acting surprised. And do you even follow triathlon, guy? Like,
right?
Do your research. Like, he's a specimen of an athlete. So just because he's not Jan or Lionel or one of the big names in triathlon doesn't mean he's not a great athlete. So I think that's a big mistake in the commentating and media team, that they don't know who's actually racing, because it was a great race. I mean, taking away the very weird rule enforcement that happened, it was a world championship, and the performances were amazing. I mean, we saw Fred Funk having the fastest bike split, like under 2 hours. It was an amazing race, and I think it's also a big mistake that the commentators were not able to deliver, because they were just talking about Morton moves and how Christian is racing with a not your average triathlete's body. So
Oh my God.
I think that needs to change as well.
It really does. And I think they're very well versed on the athletes who are at the top of their game during their era in sport. And they could definitely do something like, one of my favorite commentators is Will McCloy on the SuperLeague races. He wasn't a triathlete at all, but you see this guy roll up to commentary. He's got like a book of details on every single athlete in there. He's out there talking to all of them race week, so he gets all the behind the scenes information. He knows their life stories, and that makes a big difference when you know every single athlete in there. And it's not like it was a crazy massive, like insanely big field in there either. So it's unfortunate. The commentators should know what's going on past the big names and the Americans. Like, very much a big focus on that.
Yeah.
Anyways, how about we actually jump in and chat about some of the race results? I know we've been dancing around the 70.3 world champs here. Let's get into it and tell the audience what happens if they weren't watching, which I hope they were. It was definitely an interesting weekend.
Yeah, it definitely was.
And I can kick it off because I had a hard time picking the social media post of the week too.
Oh yes, sorry.
No, it's a perfect lead in, because it was kind of between a few, and there were so many good ones. But I wanted to narrow it down to some buddies of the podcast with either Dubrick or Freddie Funk, and I went with Freddie. And we talk about like your Strava times, or you put up a time like, and you're like 0.1 miles short, or 5 seconds short of a full 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever it may be. Well, I looked, Fred's most recent post was his finish line screenshot, and it's 3:33:25. I'm like, Fred, you had a nice lead. Why not wait another 8 seconds and get that ultimate 3:33:30?
Oh my goodness.
Give some homage to Larry Bird and anyone else with the threes. And Dubrick's shot was more of I think it was a story from that's, and they missed it because I think the video coverage went to the interviews as Dubrick was coming down for a sprint finish for 8th and 9th, and it was like one good run down the chute all day. Right? We don't even get it on video. But what an effort for him as an American, but we'll get into that. But yeah, check out Freddie Funk's page. What an awesome effort by Fred all day, and the Germans overall. But just a cool performance by him, and a cool shot. He was excited to finish 8 seconds too early.
Love to see it. If you guys haven't already, go check out some of our back episodes. We interviewed Frederick Funk and Mark Dubrick on the podcast here. So here's some of their thoughts before their days they had this weekend.
We've picked the right guys to have on, that's for sure.
Right? It was perfect. We got our crystal ball over here.
We know stuff. We definitely know stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Freddie, there's your lead in. Why don't you tell us what happened this weekend? Because I think we all are waiting to hear.
Right. So let's start with the women's race. First, we had us in the past few years we've had men and women racing separate days. This time the women kicked it off, and it was a very fast swim for both men and women, and it was a very. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw on the pre-race interviews. Taylor Neve was talking about, they were interviewing quite a bunch of girls, and she said, I don't know who the favorite is, but I want the winner of this race to be someone that takes the race from the horns and that attacks from the get-go and that breaks away and makes sure that is a worthy world champion. And I think she was sort of talking about herself a little bit, because that's exactly what she did on the day. She delivered quite a phenomenal race, and right now I don't think there's any other athlete other than maybe Ashley Gentle that's on her level. But when both of those girls are on fire, I think Taylor is gonna take it 9 times out of 10 because her swim is just way faster than Ashley and her biking as well. Maybe Ash has the edge on the run, but the way Taylor is biking nowadays, she signed a pro contract with a cycling team, so that just talks about her prowesses on the bike. So, yeah, Taylor took the win.
It's crazy that she's pro cycling team, got her Olympics spot, won the 70.3 world champs. Like, there is something to be said for that, like, youthful belief that you can do just anything, and she's proving that you can when you're at her level. It's absolutely crazy. But
I
so cool.
think I truly believe she has the potential of being like the camp. Well, I mean, I don't want to sell Taylor short, and no disrespect to her because there's no one else to compare her to. But I think she has the potential of being the Cam Worth of female triathlon and cycling, and maybe take it to another level of actually winning everything.
Yeah,
So
she's doing it.
yeah,
Like, yeah, Cam has definitely done some incredible things, but man, few 70.3 world championships in the Olympics that she's got a real shot to win. She might be going for the GOAT in a few years.
yeah, and what if she all of a sudden says, "Well, I want to go to the Olympics as well in the individual time trial."
Yeah.
I mean, the sky's the limit for her.
And don't forget
Absolutely.
the PTO in Milwaukee either. She won that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She, like, what can't this woman do? It's so inspiring to see. She is, yeah, that bike strength is incredible.
Oh yeah, and she's such a lovely character. Like she's always smiling and giving the wave and a bit dorky, because she's super young, but she's just like very cute to see interacting with other pros. And whenever Talbot was doing his race series videos, she will always say, we'll see," never answering actually anything. But she is a killer. Whenever the gun goes off, she just turns into a great white shark and eats everything and everyone in her way.
Yeah.
So
It's like she's just having fun with it all. But my question, okay, sorry, I know I'm derailing this a little bit from the results here, but anyone else thinking she might go to Kona? She has the invitation. She could go to Kona if she wants to. She keeps saying we'll see. The commentators were alluding to the possibility of a big announcement that they won't put out there yet. I think it might be that she's thinking about going to Kona and giving it a crack because why not? Like, that seems to be your attitude. Why not? See what happens.
Yeah.
Well, she knows she can compete with Daniela Reef now, and I mean, I know it was a warm up, but I mean, she made some long distance athletes concerned. If she shows up in Kona,
destroyed them.
It's her race at this point. I mean, she would be the favorite.
I mean, the back half of the marathon would be completely unknown. And there is something to be said for knowing how to pace and fuel for an Ironman. But I would just love to see it. Like, why not? You got nothing to lose. Like, jumping into Kona last minute, you have a terrible day. Great, you've experienced Kona. You have a great day. Who knows what the possibilities are? It would just, and I think she'd really mess with the heads of a lot of long distance athletes because you just have no idea what to expect. I think it would just make it so much fun to watch, to see her jump in there and
what would
destroy
her
the bike.
be
It's going to happen.
The bike,
right? Like, oh my God, could you imagine?
Yeah.
But who knows if she's even put in past like 2.5 hours on a TT bike? Like,
Probably not, but we'll see, like she says.
we'll see. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Fede. I know we went on a little Taylor Nib tangent here, but yeah, so crazy.
No, well deserved. So yeah, she took the win in 3:53.02. Then we had Great Britain's Kat Matthews in second place in 3:57.05, and then a stellar performance from Imogen Simmons from Switzerland coming in at 3:57.56, which she took the race also by the horns, and she got out of the water with Taylor, and she was biking with her until Taylor was like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of everyone. But she was holding the lead. She was holding the gap, between her and the second chase pack. So very, very courageous race from Imogen. and she looked super happy because, like we've talked in past episodes, she's had quite a few setbacks, and yeah, she did her homework because her I don't want to sound like the Ironman commentating team, but her bike position was amazing, and her aero setup was also very good. Her helmet, everything was dialed in. She looked like she put in a lot of work for this race, so kudos on her. And Emma Pallant Brown had a super fast run as she always does. I think she ran a 1:17 or something. And I wanted to touch on what we talked earlier in the pod about her bathing suit type of tri suit ish, because she has a hybrid model on the bike. She has sleeves,
Yeah,
uh,
a little
and
cover
she,
up.
yeah, and she wore the calf aero guards, which are super fast. Which stay tuned because we have something in the pipeline with Mona apparel for that. But apparently she doesn't wear the full-legged tri-suits because apparently, and I think this is just pure marketing, but I do not know this. Apparently, Cadex, her bike sponsor, um, is so aero that there's no penalty for her without the the legs covered. So I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, if there's no penalty, that doesn't mean there's still not an advantage.
There you go. Haha.
Like, okay, maybe it doesn't make you like, yeah, okay. Anyways, yeah, that's an interesting one there. And then we had, yeah, obviously Daniela Reef did not have the day that she was hoping for out there.
Yeah.
Now, whether she was in a big training block for Kona or just not feeling great out there, we all have those days, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. I know a lot of people have such short memories in triathlon.
Yeah.
Now, half the people are going to be writing Danielle off in Kona entirely. It's like, ah, she had a crap day.
Oh,
It's Worlds. And every time you do that, Daniela does
mm,
what Angry Bird does, and she just destroys everyone.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, she posted about this that she didn't have the best of days, that she was feeling flat and not feeling herself. So, yeah, it was very obvious that we weren't getting the Daniela that we usually get in these World Championship races. But I think she's still the favorite for Kona. I mean, there's 70.3 Daniela, and then there's October Kona Daniela, which is another level.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
Rennie. She was like nowhere during the summer every year. You wouldn't hear anything from Rinda Carfrey, and then she'd come win Kona.
yeah.
Like, when she did. But it really, Pat Matthews' performance really excites me though, because she is so mentally and physically strong. We saw what she did at sub 7, sub 8 there, and then to come back from that horrible crash that she had to come in and put in an effort like that at 70.3 Worlds was seriously impressive. She's definitely top of mind for one of the favorites in Kona for me.
Absolutely. She's an unbelievable athlete, and the work she's put in, it's just unbelievable. And she's one of the best runners out there for sure.
Oh, yeah. And that's another thing where people write her off as not a pure runner, not a true runner and stuff, because she doesn't have that crazy lean body type that people associate with a pure runner. But she came from a running background, and she
Yeah.
shows time and time again she is
She,
a pure
yeah.
runner. Like, it just, yeah, it's kind of like that Bloomfeld effect where
Yeah.
people make assumptions based on body type, when one of my favorite things about Ironman and triathlon is that you don't have to be that crazy, skinny, lean, sacrificing your health to win these races. So, as a female, it's really nice to see women who are strong and like can do incredible things. And health comes first, and strength and endurance come first, not
Yeah.
weight dropping. Especially just being at Late Tap Canada a little while here, that was one of the questions that Jens Vogt was asking me about when I'm going to start the weight dropping program. And they're like, how much weight do you have to lose before race day? And I'm like, I don't. Like,
There you
Ironman's
go.
not being that like super crazy lean, like cycling and just like pushing your health to the limit. There was another pro cyclist who I talked to who had to go into rehab afterwards because he would train all day, take a sleeping pill, and then
Ooh.
go to bed. And it was mind blowing to hear some of these things. Even Mac has told stories. It's crazy what some of these athletes do to drop weight. And our sport is good in that I think it keeps it a little bit more well-rounded, and that is not as beneficial. It's more about having that endurance and having that strength to be able to stay strong to the finish. So anyways, a little bit of I get on a little bit of a rant when they start talking about don't look like a real runner.
No, it's all good because strong equals fast and strong equals speed. And Kat, she had the fastest run of the day. She outran Emma Pallant Brown, which, I mean, I don't want to get too caught up in this, but commentators would say, like the Ironman commentators live stream would say, well, Emma Pallant does look like a runner and Kat Matthews doesn't. But I mean, look at the numbers. Kat was way faster. Well, not way faster, but she outran Emma, which on her eyes would never happen because she doesn't look like a quote unquote pure runner. But we are not pure anything. We are triathletes, and whatever makes you go fast, you do you.
Absolutely. No, I think, and that's crazy that we're the ones saying that when these commentators are supposed to be in the know about the sport and have been in this sport. That's the crazy part. They're all ex-pro athletes. Anyways.
It was definitely disappointing, the broadness of who they recognized. Unless they got their number off of their bike, they didn't know who a lot of them were. And that was disappointing. But the other thing to me that was disappointing, and we talked about the run finishes, I think it was really cool to see some of these pros compete all the way to the finish line. So Ellie Saltes, 2 5-minute penalties.
Oh man.
Tamara Jewett, a 5-minute penalty, and take away Ellie's 10 minutes. I think puts her in the top 5. I mean, it's something crazy. I mean, so she finished so strong on the run. Tamara, I think, actually ended up with the fastest run of the day. So, I mean, that's so disappointing because we know that did they actually, because there were 7 girls in the tent at that one point?
Yeah.
And I think Ironman should start, if you want to have a professional organization support the pros, which they have not shown that they do, but they should have Ironman race officials that are paid by the race, that are professionals, that know the rules in and out. And whether you have a pool of 10 of them and they come to different events around the world, when they'll be, it doesn't have to be every race, but these championship level races, the regional champs, the world champs, they should have, draft marshals out there who are paid by Ironman, not just volunteers from the whatever local federation that know the rules in and out, that know exactly what's going on, because this is people's livelihoods. They are out there racing for a living. They're not just out for a fun day. So yeah, they should have more professional and dialed into the Ironman rules.
Race ranger.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently they're not interested in that either, because that would mean your draft zone, and Jamie Riccatello doesn't think that anything past 12 meters matters.
Yeah. Speaking of race ranger, like you said, Jenna, totally agree with you, Josh. It needs to be enforced, and race ranger needs to be in every major race within the sport. But I saw also some conversations between race ranger and Ironman, and while they believe in the technology and while they suggested that it might impact the race for the better, they're just not interested in dabbling with that. So just very sad to see that type of behavior from Ironman.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, let's jump in the other side of it. We had the men's race on a separate day here. How'd it go out there?
Yeah, so the men's race was also dramatic as a women's racing, with the penalties and the DQs and everything, which we already talked about those. But we had a German 1, 2, 3. I mean, the Germans are just dominating the sport. Whenever we think the Germans are done, they just come and show us that they're going to be here a while. And we had the youngster, 22-year-old Rico Borgen, coming in 3:32.22. Then friend of the show, Frederick Funk, coming in at, like Josh was saying, 3:33:26. And then Jan Stratman coming in at 3:34:11. And then we had up and coming French triathlete Mathis Margier, who's also being on the spotlight because he is a very, very fast cyclist and, well, overall triathlete. But the big, well, we just touched on Lionel's drama and Christian and everything, but it was a very impressive race from Rico. He came out of the water with the main pack. He was holding on Frederick on the bike, and he came in. He was a bit slower than him, but not too much. And then he was just very fast and very consistent on the run. So just a very strong performance worthy of a world champion from Rico. So the future looks very bright from him. And he's also on a cool bike who one of our Mona coaches, Josh, is also sponsored by them. So I think Josh was going to be very, very excited that his buddy from Ku was getting some TV time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, you know what? You can only race who shows up in there. But it was really interesting with this race. Unfortunately, it's 2 weeks before the Ironman World Championships for the men, which is really close. And I think a lot of people decided to skip this one to get ready for the Ironman World Champs. I keep wanting to say Kona, but it's not Kona. It's in Nice. Which definitely diluted the field a lot. And then the other thing where I was trying to decide what the F moment of the week would be was everyone in Singapore got sick. It seems like there was some thoughts it might have been the water. Now I'm hearing some rumors about COVID because some of the media and other staff got sick at the same time too. Ooh. So that was just really unfortunate to hear. Like, obviously Blumenfeld wasn't on his game. He was sick all week. And there were a number of athletes where Jason West pulled out entirely. And it's unfortunate when something like that affects the racing out there. And we didn't quite have some of the battles we were looking forward to, but that doesn't take away from these incredible Germans taking that podium. First time ever to have a one nation sweep, but the Germans have done it before at the Ironman World Championships. So definitely not the first time for some German domination. It's very cool to see.
They had 5 of the top 6 for most of the bike race. I mean,
yeah.
And then it was Matisse and Josh Lewis, I think.
Yep.
And that was the top 7 for most of the bike leg. And the crazy part is the peloton of 25 guys wasn't making up room. They were actually losing room to that 6-7 up front, and they were pushing. And it was Freddie and Matisse pretty much 1-2 for the most part of that leg, and the two of them back and forth. And then onto the run, you could see it got Matisse a little bit, and it got Freddie a little bit. And it was like they were just getting settled in, and Brogan came right flying by him, and it was lights out. I mean, he just took off and never stopped.
Well, and I think that no slotting in rule has a big effect on the second pack not being able to catch up on them, because you typically have not cases, but you have a lot of the faster bikers aren't great swimmers. Like you have like Lionel and Sam and a bunch of people who are back out of the swim. They can't get past a group of 25 guys without completely exploding their race. So instead of being able to kind of move up through the pack as you get stronger and feel good in there, you're just kind of stuck. So whoever's on the first 3 in the front are deciding the pace for everyone, because at that point it's just too hard to move.
Exactly.
That's a great point, and you could see Christian didn't have a great day. He wasn't feeling well, but he was one of those who tried to gap 6-7 bikes at one pass, and then all of a sudden it was a few minutes later that he started dropping. So I mean, totally. He was probably pushing, like Fede said, 500-600 watts for a couple minutes while he's making those passes. But you're right, yeah. Sam and Lionel couldn't get to the front like they normally would, and Jackson and like those. If those guys are up front, that's a different story. Then maybe they are pulling the gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was. I hate to see when a race is affected by so many outside factors and even inside factors with the ridiculous DQs and stuff. It just, you want to see the best racing on their best day and really battling it out under fair conditions. And it just didn't quite feel like that was the case here, unfortunately.
And it was a cool venue. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Everyone said the course was a lot harder than expected, which you could see it. That little bridge was just mean.
Oh yeah.
Bridge. Oh
Yeah.
man.
The run out of the stadium.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then saying, like, so then I noticed too, and I think this came up in our Mana group chat, 26 age groupers under 4 hours.
Yeah.
So
insane.
it might have been a tough course. But
I mean, that's where that 12 meters comes into effect
Yeah,
too. With so
exactly.
many, there's too many athletes. And this, I think this is the big motivation why they don't change it from 12 meters is they're trying to cram as many athletes on the course as possible. There's just too many athletes on the course for it to be fair, unfortunately. And that's where, like, I've passed up on 70.3 Worlds a number of times now because that just doesn't excite me. Like, it just, if you're in a pack of people feeling like you're cheating or you're off the back and seeing them right off, like, neither situation is good.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, it drives me crazy, but I think that's a lot of the motivation behind that 12-meter draft rule. And you see these high-level age group races, and that's all it is because there's physically nowhere to go, like, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, especially for people in the later start times, because this was all based on age group. It wasn't like based on what you think your swim's going to be in rolling start. It was so you've got some fast people in later start times that have to roll through that whole entire bike field.
Oh yeah, that's not
Exactly.
pretty.
Yeah, no, it's not very convenient. And like you said, just we saw people like from the 40, 44 age group or the 50, 54 age group. They're not going to be able to. If you're a fast age grouper of that age group, you are not going to be willing to push 700 plus watts to get over a line of 250 athletes. So you're just going to stick there, maybe in the verge of 12 and 10 meters, and you're going to be pulled along. And you're going to have a super fast bike split because of the dynamics of the race and how the course is set up, which is no one's fault. But that's just, like Jenna said, how it is.
It sucks. Anyways, let's jump into something completely on the opposite end from 70.3s to super, super short course racing with a 300-meter swim. The SuperLeague series is back. So things changed up over the last couple years. Before, it used to be 2 days of racing in different locations and all in individual pursuit. But now they've brought in a cool teams aspect. So you have teams racing together. And then you also have the athletes trying for the individual win. But then there are also massive bonuses for the team that wins as well. So it definitely mixes up the dynamics. And this week's race was the Enduro, which is swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run with no rest in between. And I think I think the distances were like 300 meters, 4K and 1.5K, something like that. So super short race.
1.6K to finish.
1.6K, yeah. Back to back to back, which is definitely, like I mentioned before, jumping in from a run to a swim is the most horrific feeling in the world when your heart rate's already at 180. But it's fun racing in there. And then they have the short shoots as well, where team members can win a short shoot for their team. It was the first across the line after the swim, first across the mountain line after the bike, and then the winner in the first round there got short shoots for their teams. And the teams could not get 2 short shoots. So you could only get 1, and then it went to the next team down the line. So that always mixes up the dynamics in there as well. So I enjoy these races because they're just short, fast, crazy, all out, and you never quite know what is going to happen. That's a bit of the explainer, but Fede, do you have the results of what happened on the weekend?
I do, yeah. And I mean, like we touched on last week's episode. Thank God racing is not set in stone, because what we thought was going to be a world domination for by the Scorpions, it proved us all completely wrong. Because on the women's side, we had a massive upset with Jean Leher from Great Britain taking the win. I mean, talk about upset, she outran Taylor Spivey, Sophie Caldwell, Beth Potter, This just short and fast racing it shows us that you need to be on top of your game and take every corner uh surgically and making sure your transitions are super fast because not an inch is gonna be given away and it's gonna be probably be defined by inches because it was 1, 2, 3 within seconds. So and she's part of the Eagles, which I don't think any of us picked last week.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, the Santara Eagles from Team Don. And on the men's side, Alexi took the win. Also, not a scorpion, a shark, which I think I picked. So you're welcome. Um, yeah, he's part of like an old boy British team with Johnny Brownlee and a couple of others. But we missed the likes of Christian Blumenfeld and of course Vincent Louis, who's not 100% himself lately. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting the next Super League races for sure. Now that everybody's gonna be uh, together and probably not sick from Singapore and all of the races that happened.
Yeah, it was definitely a case of the Scorpions were missing half their team there and had a couple sub-ins, but it's
Yeah.
interesting this year they've changed it up. So as long as you make it to 3 of the 4 races, you still have a shot for the title
Mhm.
before you have to make it to all of them. So unfortunately, my prediction for the women's, Cassandra Bogran didn't start. Same with Jason West. I got all of the DNSs this week. But yeah, it's just such fun racing to watch. Like who would have thought Beth Potter would get outrun by a few people on the race course
Ooh,
there? Just mixes it up entirely and it makes it so fun. And MG is such a character. He's the team manager for the Scorpions, and you can tell he was not happy out there. He's used to having the strong team kind of crushing it. So that was some interesting commentary from MG.
yeah.
Yeah, so
It'll
too bad
be.
Hayden Wild not out there too.
Yeah, he's bouncing back from what happened to him at the test event. So yeah, also not Hayden, but hopefully he'll bounce back and be in a couple of races. Because I think he's going to be aiming to be fit and ready for next year. So probably he is not going to prioritize Super League, uh, because maybe he's not willing to risk another injury for next year's Olympic Games.
See, knowing Hayden, I think he would absolutely go for the Super League title and wants it. He's one of those athletes who just loves to race.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised to see him, as long as he like can run, kind of go guns blazing, get after it here. It definitely makes more fun. But it was so good to see Johnny Brownlee back at the top and racing at the front. He's been kind of up and down the last little while here and had a shocker at the test event.
He was so close to Yi too. I mean, he almost got him too. It was weird too. I there was that footage of, I mean, years ago now, where he picked up his brother at the finish line too, which just happened to come into one of my feeds this weekend, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, that whole scene, if you haven't seen that, Google that one.
Oh, the race where Alistair pulls
Mm.
Johnny across the finish line.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic moments in
Go from
triathlon.
first and second to second and third.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that was an amazing finish. And then what a difference that race style is too. And then the 3 back to back to back, and having the women's race still come down to what, 3 seconds between first and third.
Oh, it's absolutely unreal. It's just so, I like it because they keep it so dynamic and fast, and like there's always something going on. And it was kind of interesting with the teams aspect now, where people win the short shoots for their team members. It doesn't specifically have to be the person who got it. It's always interesting to see who the team managers actually pick for those short shoots. Now, it's not always quite who you would expect.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll hopefully get a bigger field now that 70.3 Worlds is over and some people are healing up after Paris. I think that'll change how the Super League goes going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got some more racing coming up here. I think it's next weekend. Let's see. In Toulouse. So they're going to be going back at it again. And this time, so let me pull it up here. Yeah, we got Toulouse happening on September 3rd. So they're going to be back at it, and hopefully we'll have a few more of the names we usually see out there kind of coming back into the racing and having some fun with it. But yeah, curious to see how this season goes. It's kind of funny timing. I know they wanted to get a lot more races going, but with such a short timeline between Olympics with only 3 years instead of the 4, it definitely makes it a little bit more challenging because they work with WTCS to make sure they're not competing with each other too much. So that means the athletes are focusing a lot more on that Paris qualification right now.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's going to be definitely, well, we always see this year after year that the weeks leading up into a major championship, like it was Lati, this weekend, and Nice coming up next, and the Paris test event, we tend to see like a down with some races. But I think it's just part of everybody getting ready to perform at the big stage races. So I think this Toulouse race is not going to be super exciting to follow, but nonetheless, it's a race we are going to be talking about next week and hopefully discussing what happened.
Yeah, so next week it's going to be the triple mix, which keeps it interesting. So it'll be 3 races, but this time they do get a break in between the 2. So we got the first one is swim, bike, run, and then they'll get a 2-minute break, and then they'll go into run, bike, swim, get a 4-minute break, and then they'll go into bike, swim, run. Now, the reason I think we're going to have some big names show up and it's still going to be competitive is there's some money on the line. They do not skimp on the prize money for 40 minutes of racing. You can win like 50 grand. So I think we're still going to see some of those big names kind of show up in here, and then the team bonus is on top of it. And then SuperLeague is good because they cover all the athletes' travel and accommodations and everything there. So should see a few more of the big names next weekend. And it is definitely fast and furious with 4 weeks in a row of racing. And we'll see how athletes cope with that. That's always the interesting part. See if they can keep backing it up. And I'm predicting we will see a lot of changes at the top there. Alexi, he could stay pretty close to the top, but I think we're going to see some mix-ups next week if we get a few more of the names out there, but should be fun regardless. Awesome. Well, is there anything else, guys, that you wanted to chat about this week?
I think Lati took us down.
Yeah. I think we're covered for this week.
Right? Yeah, the countdown is on for the World Championships in 2 weeks. Like, we are in the thick of it between test events and PTO and 70.3 Worlds and Ironman Worlds and Kona in 7 weeks. It's like reverberating in my head now.
No countdown there.
No. Just booked my flights yesterday, so it's going.
There you go.
Yeah, no, tons going on here, but we will be back next week. As always, go give us a follow on social media at Another Triathlon Podcast. You can also submit your questions there. If you can, leave a review and a rating for the podcast. That just helps us reach more people. But definitely go back and check out our interviews with Fred Funk and Mark Dubrick. It's kind of interesting to hear what they were thinking before 70.3 Worlds and knowing the results now. But thank you so much, guys. Pleasure as always, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. See you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.